Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio, Friday's Inspirational Talk. It's always a pleasure being here with you and the whole team from the SSVA. Today, we have such a special topic to discuss. We're going to learn more from the Medium's book with Kardec about mediumship. It's a hot topic for us. There's so much to learn. We love hearing from Kardec and from the higher spirits what they have to bring to us. But as usual, for us to start so that we align ourselves, we allow these higher vibrations to reach us, reach our homes, we start by reading a message. So we invite our dear Camila to bring us our initial message.
Thank you, Paloma. Hello and welcome, everyone. Tonight, we will read a message called Regarding Children from the book Conduta Espírita by the spirit André Luiz and psychographed by Chico Xavier. See in the child's heart the blueprint of the next generation, trying to support him or her in all directions. Guidance during childhood results in prevention for the future. Sympathize with efforts that help children, improving methods and amplifying tasks. Educating the little ones sublimates humanity. Collaborate decidedly in the recovery of maladjusted and sick children, striving for the reduction of infant mortality. During corporeal childhood, the spirit finds occasion to renew the basis of one's own life. Spiritist parents can and should enroll their children in schools with Spiritist Christian morals, so that the newly incarnated companions can safely start the new earthly experience. Parents are spiritually responsible as the chaperones of those resurging in the school of the flesh. Incessantly distribute works of children's spiritist literature by incarnate and discarnate authors, collaborating effectively in the essential dissemination of the eternal truth. Uplifting books vaccinate children's minds against evil. Observe when you should or should not take children to doctrinal meetings. Order is an article of the law for all ages. Refrain from promising to the children who study any awards or gifts as a reward or false encouragement for the success that they will meet with at school, so as not to addictively indulge their minds. The notion of responsibility in the smallest duties is the starting point for the fulfillment of great obligations. Do not allow children to participate in meetings or parties that pollute their feelings, and under no circumstances offer them gifts, either toys or books, likely to encourage them to hold any aggressive or belligerent attitudes. The child suffers deeply from the influence of the environment. Avoiding enhancing the development of mediumistic faculties in children, nor allow them to witness activities where discarnates are being assisted, even when children display disturbances of a mediumistic nature. In this case, they should receive help through prayer and the magnetic passes. The spirit would only gradually become acquainted to the realities of the incarnation. In every doctrinal disclosure, event, or development, do not forget the unique position of educating children within the Spiritist harvest, creating subdivisions and programs dedicated to children in particular. Without a good seed, there is no good harvest. And let us reflect in one of Jesus' messages. Let the children come unto me, and forbid them not, for theirs is the kingdom of God.
Thank you, Camila, for such an important message and the reminder that we need to pay close attention to our children and their moral development. So now, dear friends, let us pray together. This is this moment that we're going to open our hearts and our minds for this true therapeutic moment we're about to start. So when we pray together, we potentialize our vibrations. So let us focus, almost if you're repeating the words in your mind, and we're doing this together, all right? It is a practice. So we'll start with some music. And closing our eyes, settling down, and allowing this moment of prayer to be very mindful. Dear loving Master, we thank you so much for the opportunity of being here for this study. We thank you for sending your messengers. We ask for inspiration under their care. We thank you, Master, so much for Kardec Radio and the Spiritist Society of Virginia for bringing true nourishment for our souls. We understand that we have still so many shortcomings. We ask for forgiveness for our blindness, for our mistakes from the past. And Master, we are committing ourselves today and on to trying harder, to keeping our hearts and minds open to these teachings, for improving ourselves and helping to develop the new generation. And with that, dear loving Master, we ask for your permission and under your protection to start the meeting of tonight. And so be it. Dear friends, are you ready to learn more about mediumship? I am too. But we are waiting for our special Spirits Book moment. Luciana is going to bring it to us another question before we go to our talk.
Hello, friends. And today we're starting the meeting, reading and learning again with the Spirit's Book. This book that has so many questions, so many teachings to bring us and help us to become better beings, right? And Kardec always so wisely make questions that we have in our mind, and sometimes we don't have the answers. But thank you to Spiritism, now we have a book that has a lot of questions and answers to help and guide us through our life. So today we are studying chapter 927 from the Spirit's Book. And Kardec asked, Superfluity is certainly not indispensable to happiness, but the same does not apply to necessities. So, isn't the misfortune of those who are deprived of them real? So, we think, right, superfluous, we think about the people that are suffering that doesn't have things. Sometimes we have this question and think like, oh, maybe this is not real, right? Because we don't know very well. We are trying to understand. And then when Kardec asked to tell us that superfluity is not indispensable, we are like questioning ourselves. Let us see what the good spirits answer to Kardec. They are truly unfortunate only when they lack what is necessary for their life and the health of their body. So only when we are lacking what we need, when we are lacking health, when we are lacking uh, things that we need for living, for being good, then it's really unfortunately. This is what the spirits are telling us. Such deprivation is perhaps the result of their own making. Remember, the Spirit's always telling us that when something comes to us, there is a reason. God doesn't punish us. There's always a significant why this is happening, right? So let us see. So their deprivations perhaps the result of their own making, and they can only blame themselves for it. If it is a result from the wrong of another, the responsibility will fall upon the one that has caused it. So that everything is happening the way it's supposed to be. So if we feel that we are misfortune, that we're having something and we are trying to find someone to blame, we need to read those books and see that we cannot blame anybody else. Maybe we are going through difficulties and have not much in this life and have some health issues or some lack of things for living this life, but this is only a lesson. This is only one step for us to progress because probably in the past we had chosen something wrong and we are correcting in this life. So this is a message of hope. This is a question that comes and help us to understand that everything happens for a reason. And Kardec always helping us to answer what we are having in our mind, the question that we are having in our minds, our frustration. He's always have a question, and the good spirits come and bring us a good answer so we can meditate and move on with our life. So the question for today was this, and for now, we're gonna start with the first part of the meeting of today with our dear friend Daisy.
Hi, Lou. Thank you so much. And hello, dear friends. So, tonight we have a very, very special and important topic. We're talking about mediumship. And tonight we're gonna be bringing some highlights from the Medium's book by Kardec. And starting on chapter 20, the moral influence on mediumship. And then Luciana is going to be back and she's going to be talking about the environmental influence on mediumship with chapter 21. So, in order for us to understand, right, let us recap mediumship as defined by Kardec himself. All of us, we are all mediums at different levels, but we are all instruments. So when we talk about mediumship, it's a lessons for all of us. We're not here just talking about Chico Xavier or Divaldo Franco. We're talking about all of us and how we can influence the mediumship that we have. It might be simple, has sometimes a perception or thought, or it can be valid, very developed, has others. So the very first question in just chapter 20, it starts by just setting the tone for us, because Kardec asked this question. Is really important for us to reflect. Does the development of mediumship have any relation to the medium's moral development? In other words, does this mean that only those who are already moral developed, only those who have this more apparent development of their mediumship? So the spirits answer to Kardec, and they're very straightforward as always, because they go directly and says, no, that is not the case. The faculty per se is organic and therefore independent of morality. So that is the very first opening for us tonight. As we think about mediumship, mediumship doesn't equal this greater moral values. No, it's a faculty per se. However, they continue. The same does not apply concerning to its use, which can be good or bad according to the medium's character. So let's pause there for a second. So first we know that mediumship per se is not linked to morality, is independent of it. However, there is a second part. It depends on the mediums. It depends on all of us. If we're gonna be a good instrument, an instrument of the good, or we're gonna be this instrument that is faulty, this bad mediumship. It's really that part that we need to pay attention. So, with that, let us continue building upon this. Because the next question for us then, now that we know that mediumship per se is independent of morality, well, then it brings us to this next question. Does the moral qualities of the mediums have a capital influence upon the nature of the spirits who communicate through their intermediation? So, depending on the level of the moral qualities of the medium, will that influence the type and the nature of the spirits who will communicate through them? Wow, that's exactly what we all want to know, right? And the high spirit says, yes, that is true. Communicating spirits identify with the medium spirit. For this identification, there must be a sympathy between them. This is what we call affinity. So, as we are all spirits, we emit, we put out through our thoughts, through our feelings, words, and actions. We put out the vibration around us. And that is going to determine our affinity with those spirits who we will attract. Is the law of attraction, what we say in Spiritism. So, the soul exerts this kind of attraction or repulsion upon the communicating spirit according to the degree of similarity or dissimilarity between them. And this, friends, goes beyond mediumship. Yes, tonight we are focusing specifically on mediumship, but this is a lesson for all of us in our day-to-day lives because we attract what we emit. So if we go through our whole day being angry with our family members, angry with society, angry with things that are happening in our planet, what type of spirits, let us ask ourselves, we think we're going to be attracting? Someone like that, do they think they're going to sit then in the mediumistic meeting and all of a sudden they're going to connect to the high spirits? Tonight we're being reminded that's not the case. We attract what we emit. So, depending on that affinity, that's how we gonna be able to connect with spirits who are elevated or those who are not so elevated. And they continue and they say, well, good souls, as we're talking about, have affinity with good spirits, and bad souls have affinity with bad spirits. So, groups of highly evolved spirits, they rarely communicate through bad conductors when they have good mediums at their disposal. And it's so interesting because in the spirits, in the mediums book, they compare this like the radio. Imagine that the high spirits are trying to use the medium as instruments, like a radio, to be able to share a message. However, they say, depending to bring to our day-to-day terms, depending on the weather, depending on the environment, that communication will be influenced. And Luciana is going to tell us more about that. But what we put out, our frequency, that is the frequency, is going to influence if that will be a clear, good communication or not. So we learn in the medium's book that in order to be able to be instruments of the high evolved spirits, then they need those good instruments. They need good mediums to be good conductor of their thoughts, of their words for all of us. So, what then we must be asking ourselves? Are the conditions necessary so that the word of the high evolved spirits come to us without an alteration, as we are talking about here, without this clear, this be able to really be the good instruments? So what are those conditions? And that was exactly the question that Kardec asked. And the spirits, they told him and all of us, very straightforward. First, desire only to what is good. Then, avoiding selfishness and pride. And both of those conditions, avoiding selfishness and pride, they are both necessary, combined with the desire of good do good. So let us bring this closer to us, friends, because we can read this, but we need to feel it in order for us to truly apply it in our lives. So, an example, if we are someone who throughout our day are thinking about the material things of life, thinking about that promotion at work, to buy that home, thinking about the car that I want, or how much I want to go on that vacation. If our main focus is on the passing things of life, then are we gonna be able to be an instrument of the high evolved spirits? Because that goes against here, this selflessness and making sure that we're not working the pride and vanity. So if we want to be those good instruments, is not at that 1 or 2 hours a week, if we are part of a mediumistic group, that all of a sudden we're gonna change our frequency. It's something that is in our perispirit. It's like we use with the children, a way for them to see, thinking about the little cartoons that we see the bubbles coming out. That is what we're putting out, and that's what we're gonna to attract. So what would be if we want a checklist? The high evolved spirits who brought us these teachings through Kardec, they are so wonderful that they bring us a checklist, something very easy for us to be able to read and comprehend. And they say, so let us then reflect. If we need to avoid selfishness, and pride. What are the qualities to attract good spirits? And what are the defects that will repel those good spirits? They say, if we wanted to attract good spirits, we need to be good. So goodness is number one. Benevolence is another. Simplicity of the heart. And I apologize, friends. I'm just going to put my computer here to charge. Just give me 1 second. There we go. We don't want to lose our connection here. They say simplicity of the heart. So are we simple in our hearts? Or are we those who are looking for the complex things of life? Because in Spiritism, we learn that simplicity is the key, to be simple and humble, to love one's neighbors. So not only thinking about our immediate family, but thinking about the same love that we have for our blood family than to our neighbors. And also the detachment of the material things. So if we want a quickly checklist, those will be the things that we would add in order for us to attract those good spirits in our lives. Does this mean that if I volunteer once a week for an hour, you think, oh, I'm already checking the box. I am doing love for one's neighbor. I am being good towards others. But that's not what the good spirits are bringing to us, friends. This is something we need to build these moral values in our lives. Because it doesn't matter if we go outside and we say, oh, I do these great things, but sometimes we are not benevolent to those who are inside our own roofs. We don't help out or help those who are under our own roofs. Or if we think that we are doing so much, but we are doing at our own time. We're gonna bring in a minute a case from the book from Andrea Luiz, In the Realms of Mediumship. And we'll see that in this medium's case, she worked through her difficulties in life. She didn't stop saying, oh no, now my husband doesn't understand me. I'm going through difficulties in my life. Oh, now I need to focus on my family and then I'm going to dedicate it myself. No, that's not what we see throughout the books by Kardec, by Emmanuel, by Andrea Luiz. Is really this goodness, this selfless throughout, really looking how we can help others, regardless of what we are going through in our lives, not waiting for, oh, when I retire, when everything is beautiful and perfect, because that's not going to happen. We're not in a planet right now that will allow us to do that. We're in a planet of trials and expiations. So then how do we then repel the good spirits? And we can see right here, the list is long. Yes, it's long because there's so much for us still to learn. Pride, selfishness, as we've been talking about, envy, jealousy. If we're always looking at others and what others have, why does that person have that opportunity and I don't? Why do they got that promotion and I didn't? Why does this family member is treated this way and I'm treated that way, right? That is exactly what they're saying here. If we have hate, greed within ourselves, those sentiments, especially anger. And we see a society nowadays that is so angry with what is happening, angry with because the pandemic is happening and they cannot go on and travel. They cannot go on and eat at that restaurant, or they cannot. Yes, we understand. We want to be with our family members, but if God's saying, let us be at home, let us be at peace, then it's really a test for all of us to practice, really, as we see here in the other column, this goodness and this benevolence, not the sentiment of hate. And then they also include in the list sensuality. We talk a lot here at Kardec Radio in the Spirit Society of Virginia, how sensuality that is unbalanced, it repels the good spirits and all the passions that keep humans attached to matter. So let us reflect on this, not for us to feel guilt, but really for us to reflect. Do we want to attract the good spirits? Great. So let us work on the first list here, how we can improve ourselves. And in order to illustrate, we brought this case from this book, In the Realms of Mediumship, Selina's case. It's a beautiful book that if you haven't had a chance to read, we highly encourage everyone to read, because we got to read two cases. It's by the Spirit André Luiz, so the same Spirit that brought us Nos Solar. He continued in his journey in the spiritual realm, learning more and bringing to us this case. And in this book, André Luiz, with the mentor and with his friend Hilario, they go and they visit these Neonistic meetings, and they describe in detail, as we see in the next picture here that we're going to share with you, the environment that Luciana is going to talk to us about, what happened in the behind the scenes, how much work it goes into the mediumistic meetings. And they also show us that each one of the members who are part of the mediumistic team, and they tell us more who they are, what they do. And in this meeting where Selina is tonight, where we're going to focus on Selina's case, they say it was a group of 10, 4 women, 6 men, and they were actually all regular people, like, all of us. They have their lives, they have their families, but they were part of this group. And then they say, describing Selina, because she was part of this group, and that's the case we would like to focus tonight. They start describing Selina as a spiritual accumulator of beneficent energies. She assimilated to these elevated mental currents that made her less accessible to the forces of darkness. So, as we were just describing before, right, the two columns that we just compared, Selina was and is for all of us an example of a good medium. She was able throughout her life, and this described, at this point she had about, she was in her 50s, so she had been working for many years through spiritism, and she was part of this group. And through her experiences in life, she had victories in her moral values. So it's not, going back to our very first question where we started, it's not that she had already developed her moral qualities. No, as she was developing her moral qualities throughout her life, she also improved her mediumistic faculties. And who was she? She was a dedicated mother. Yes, she was a loving mother. She had a family, but her husband passed away when she was still very young, and she raised her children. But she did not stop. That did not stop her from continuing her work. And they don't go in so much detail in the book, but they say she really struggled with her husband because her husband, from what they describe, would bring with him those spirits who were not so elevated. So she really had to overcome those thorny obstacles in the dark days of self denial. And that, friend, is a reminder for us because we read about mediums, and Chico Xavier is a great example for all of us, but a lot of people put mediums in this pedestal as if mediums don't go through difficulties in their lives, don't go through challenges. These books really bring to us that, on the contrary, they are like all of us. Like, we're all the same, right? We all go through challenges. So for us not to think that, oh, I'm gonna develop my mediumship because I'm not gonna have any problems in my life. No, it's gonna be, as the mentors of the Spirit Society of Virginia through Vanessa always remind us, don't expect to have concessions because you are part of the mediumistic team. On the contrary, it's gonna be difficult, but in the end, friends, it's all worth it. So, what are the characteristics of Selena's? Because they describe her as a refined, as we mentioned, she refined her mediumship through her moral suffering. But besides all of that, she continued to be this selfless servant. She was very, very diligent. She didn't stop her work as she went through her her growth in her life, her troubles and challenges. She was humble, and they describe her with these last four words here: someone that was kind, was understanding, was faithful, and courageous. So, if as we're talking about mediumship, how we attract this good spirit, those are the characteristics that we are looking for. Has Selena this good medium? But then at this point, it's so interesting because at this point in the conversation, as Andrea Luiz is there talking with the mentor and analyzing this case and bringing to all of us, he asks, well, what happened if Selena, she was right already a medium that really had work on herself, but what if she was to abandon the discipline that she had in her life? And it's so interesting because then the mentors explain to us that if she was to get out of this discipline, then at that point, she would not be this good instrument to the high spirit. She would cease to be a good instrument, and she would then attract these destructive elements that would interrupt her noble evolutionary experience. And they explain to us many mediums suffer from this. After promising rehearsals and brilliant start, they think their own spiritual resources that do not belong to them. It's that pride, friends. That pride thinking, oh, I am this great medium. Look what I can do, right? Forgetting that mediums are just instruments of the high spirits. So, either that or they fear the prolonged afflictions of the journey. And then what happened next? They retreat to uselessness, yielding to unproductivity and inertia. So, that is a reminder, friends, a reminder that it is key for us, all of us, to work through this list. But most important, as Emmanuel told Chico, discipline, discipline, discipline. Discipline is a key foundation in order for all of us to be good minions of God. And we will end with this reflection before we pass to Luciana, because in a few words, that wouldn't be a good mediumship without Jesus. So, is this mediumship with our Master that came to teach all of us how to be humble, how to be good, how to be selfless. So, if we want to boost ourselves, the moral qualities, in order to be instruments of the good and high spirits, we need to practice this mediumship with Jesus as our guide and model in our lives. And with that, friends, we'll pass to our dear Luciana so that we can continue learning more about mediumship.
Thank you, Daisy. So how beautiful we finishing this part of the study with the mediumship with Master Jesus. How beautiful this is. And this is a reminder to us, right, that Daisy just remind us about it, that mediumship is everywhere, but with the Master Jesus is a different mediumship. So in this part of the book, the Medium's book, we're going to start learning about the influence of our surrounding, what is around us. So as we know, we are in the planet Earth where souls and our spirits are still learning how to progress. We are in this transitory planet in which is a school, hospital, many different things for us. So we know that there is no high spirit incarnated in the planet Earth, right? Master Jesus was the one that was able to reincarnate here to give us the example how to live our life, how to be mediums of Jesus. He gave us the ABCs for us to live better and well and progress while we are incarnated here. So with this in mind, we already know that around us, wherever we are in this planet, we don't have a lot of good influences. So we need to exercise, as Daisy just told us, we need to have this discipline in order to make the connection with the higher and good spirits. We need to be having discipline to be able to be a medium of Jesus. We need to mold and change our bad habits so we can change not only us, but the whole environment. And here we start in the chapter 21 with the question: do the surrounding in which mediums work exert any influence on the manifestation? And yes, right? The answer is all the spirits who surround mediums help them either for good or evil. And this is why it's important for us to see where we are practicing mediumship. Daisy brought to us the mediumship with Jesus and told us the different influence that we have, because we are all mediums. We are always captating information. But we need to moderate ourselves and see where are we are practicing this mediumship. So here we can see the picture from the book in the dominions of the mediumship, and we can see high spirits over there helping and guiding the mediums in this environment. So in this place, we can see that good spirits actually can come and help all the mediums to communicate on the other side with more elevated um, spirits in which they will help us, right? So, what happens here? In the meetings, we made a prayer, just like we start the meeting here today. We make a prayer, we read something that is higher in vibration to change the atmosphere, to break the old. And as we know, and we are learning that the center now is in our home, when we do this exercise to make a prayer, we are already changing the energies of the environment of our home. So if we do the gospel at home once a week, we can see that the energy is already different, especially in that day. We can feel different vibrations. And if we do daily, we feel the vibration a little bit different every day. So, because we are making this connection with the good spirits and in the other realm. So, we need to have this discipline to make the environment safe and secure, because there is a lot going on that we cannot see. And as we know, planet Earth is a planet of imperfect spirits. So, we need to be careful. And then he's continuing with our other questions. And he says, can high order spirits overcome the ill with incarnate spirits who serve as their interpreters, and also overcome the ill will of other spirits around them? And the answer is yes, whenever they deem it useful to do so, and according to the intent of the person who addressed them. We have already said high evolved spirits can sometimes communicate to provide special assistance despite the imperfection of the medium and the surroundings, but they remain completely outside such a surrounding. So we we know they will come, they will help us if we ask, and if they see there is a need to come in and help. But they are most likely, as they say here, the answer that Kardec brings to us, they won't be around us because the vibration does not match. So if the vibration doesn't match, they won't be around us. It's almost like if we meet someone that has different way to think than us, don't like anything that we like, of course we won't be around this person for long, right? We will do the regular routine that we have to do if we have to work with this person, but we won't hang around outside of the office. We won't be connecting all the time because it does not match. We cannot provide anything good to this other person, right? So it's the same situation with the higher spirits. So if we have this environment that is not prepared, it's not that they cannot come, they will come, but they won't be there all the time helping. And again, in the book that we are bringing examples in the domains of mediumship, we can see suffering spirits and disturbed spirit coming once they finish the prayer and the session is open for mediumship. They come and they want to receive help, but there is order. There is order. You see, everyone in the physical realm is complying with the rules of that center. And the good spirits are coordinating who is going to be able to come and connect with the medium and who's going to be able to receive help. So there's a lot going on in a mediumistic meeting, and there is a lot of mediumship happening around us. So in a center, the place is safe, the place is secure, majority of the times, because we need to work with the good mentors and follow the instructions that they are giving to us. So if we have a mentor of the house that tell us to follow X, Y, and Z directions, we need to follow so that they can come and help us. But if they come and say something, ask something to us, and we just ignore and continues to living our life without making any change, they won't be able to help us any longer because we did not did the exercise to be elevating ourselves in order for them to continue to help us. And Kardec continued asking, do high order spirits attempt to bring frivolous meaning back to the field of more serious ideas? And the answer is, high order spirits do not attend meetings in which their presence would be futile. Again, if there is no match, if there is no need of them be there, because it's almost like you have a scholar, and they even mention here, we have a scholar, a teacher coming and telling us and teaching us about something very unique, very high in the intelligence, but if we cannot comprehend, it will be a waste of time of everyone, right? Because they will say something we will not be able to understand. So there is no match of energy, no match of language, so they won't be able to be there. They do not go to intellectual environments in which sarcasm reigns. So if we say it's a serious place, but there's a lot of sarcasm, we are not coherent to the teachings, we are not aligned, they also are not there. Are low order spirits forbidden from taking part in serious meeting? And the answer is no. Sometimes they are present at them. They're present and then in order to take advantage of the teachings that they are received, but they keep quiet like ignorant listener during the meeting of a scholar. Again, they will be able to attend lower vibration spirits. They will be able to be there. We can see here, most of them are suffering in need and are not very well educated, spiritually and morally speaking. That's why the suffering. Because as we acquire more intelligence, acquire more moral, we are not suffering as much. So they can go and attend, and we can go and listen and learn from that. So when we go to a place, when we go to listen, right? Imagine if Chico Xavier was here, we will go and listen to him and absorb all the teachings that he's giving to us because he has more experience, he has connection with the higher spirits, and he's bringing us directions to help us. So we just listen. And we can see here as well in the same book, this image from In Domains of Mediumship, that everything is very serious. We have the mentor coming to work with the physical medium. So everything is very serious. Everything is very aligned. So Raul is the medium, and Clementina is the spiritual mentor that comes. And it's interesting that in this part, they mention like Andre Luis, right? He's very curious and he asks about the power of the mentor influencing the medium. And he asks if there is like any different of symptomy, right? Because we are incarnated and we know we are not evolved. We don't have the same knowledge and discipline as the good spirit has. So when Andre Luis asked this, Alus tell him that is almost about electricity, is a light bulb, right? That the mentor needs to adapt, come down into energy in order to operate in this medium. So Andrea Luz asked, and then his mentors, his guide in the spiritual realm, explained to this. And this week we were reading about Padre Estacio, and exactly the same example came, saying that God, this power is almost like this power plant that is always there generating energy, and we are the ones that are clogging the flow or letting the flow of love come through us. So the same applies in to this case when Andrea Luiz is asking, how does it work, the mediumship through the mentors? It's very beautiful, all the teachings that we learn, that it is hard for us, but it's also not as easy for the mentors, but with their loving and care and with our discipline, they are able to come and help us. And then we continue. That the invisible world is everywhere. They're everywhere. They're constantly around us, next to us. They watch and observe us, interfere in our meetings, and follow our voice and avoid us, depending on whatever we attract or repel. The mediumistic faculties does not have any influence upon this. Rather, it is simple and a meaning communication. So no matter where we are, no matter the communication that we are having, these spirits are around us. So we bring another example from the book, and we can see here that they are in a bar, and you can see that there are spirits in the bar. So as the before we mentioned, wherever we are, they are around us. They are always watching. So we are the ones that are being called to see where are we're going, how we are preparing the places that we go. And that's why the mediumship with Jesus is the guide and the model for us to follow. Because if we go to a bar, if you go to places with lower vibration, there will be spirits there, and we'll be connecting this with them, because all the communications, all the mediumistic uh, act happen according to how we associate with the other. So it's through sympathy, same vibration, and with the spirits, we cannot hide anything. So we cannot look beautiful and think that we are safe and protect. And inside our heart is not matching. We're thinking about lower vibration things. We will be connecting with these lower vibration things, because the heart, the sentiment is what brings us the connection with the other realm. And it continues. If we are to regard each nation in particular, we would be able to discern with which other the spirits would be found, and in the domain of characteristics of the citizen, and in the degree of their moral and humanity preoccupation and sentiments. So they're telling here us, if we take a country, if we take a particular area in the planet, we will see how they behave, because we are born in a place, because we have affinities and vibrations with that place. And then we see our family, our friends, we see the whole nation, that in the end, if we analyze, there's always something that really points us to that direction. Oh, I was born in that country because I had that same problem or the same difficulty that I have. So I need to work on it. And we have here like the vices. So vices, we attract the same type of spirit. So that's why we go to bars, we go to clubs, because the vibration and the spirits that are there match with the ones that we have. So using the type of spirits that it can meet in the world, can be next to us, watching us, what kind of spirit would you prefer to be among us? Certainly, we have to hope to vibrate high to have a good spirits next to us, right? So in this example before, we having here, using this as a starting point, let us imagine a meeting of frivolous and inconsequential individuals who are solely interested in their own pleasures. What kind of spirits would be, what kind of spirits would prefer to be among them? Surely not higher evolved ones, which our own scholars and philosophers would not waste any of their time in such a places. Hence, every time persons meet together, there is among them a concealed assembly of spirits who sympathize either with their good qualities or imperfections, aside from all thoughts of evocation. So, this is what will happen in a meeting in which there is no Jesus. We will bring frivolous spirits and will be hard to have evolved spirits there helping and guiding us. And as we march to have the information about this pandemic, in this pandemic, we open our doors. The doors of our house has been opened to receive blessings, to connect with the good spirits. And here we can see that in this home, they were practicing the gospel at home. That's why the mediums, that's why the mentors always tells us the importance of practicing the gospel at home at least once a week. Because doing that, we will be able to change and transform the energies of our home and help everyone in both realms of life in our home, right? And with that, it keep expanding, because the good keep expanding, expanding, expanding. And now, as we have our house as a center, these places, our home, are used as a point light to help all other spirits that in need. So that's why it's important for us to have a certain time and certain day that we can be connect with the good spirits, because they will come to help us and sometimes broadcast and help many spirits that are in need. So that's why we need to start doing this small exercise of discipline to do the gospel at home in order to help not only us, but also all the spirits that are in need. And here is the example of Isabel. Isabel, she, as Daisy mentioned before, she also came for a suffering, difficult life. This is the life of everybody's in the planet. No one is here on vacation. Everybody suffered one way or the other. We always have trials, expiation, obstacles in our life. So we are here to learn in a school. And this school can be the hospital, can be different places, environments for each one of us, because we are here, but we have our own unique vibration, our own unique histories, or lessons that we need to learn in order to progress. So Isabel, she was suffering. She had a lot in her life and she lost her husband, but she had her kids and she was the center part of her house. Even though she went through all difficulties in life, she always had this discipline and she always had the reverence to God. So she have the gospel at home in her house. And this is in her house. And you can see doing this service in her house, good spirits were coming there to help her and help the family. And you can see that the family, the whole family, have a little bit of illumination because they all work together to strive to be better, to make this the connection with the divine. And of course, we have always someone in the family that doesn't want to follow, that doesn't want to go through the discipline, go through the teachings, someone that is a little off, right? And she also had that. Her son, it was the one that was not aligned, did not, were not able to make this connection, but still, he was coming there every week with her to do this gospel at home. And I'm sure as he progressed, he was able to become better, right? And change his vibration. So the sun at that moment had a lower vibration and was not able to connect with this good spirits, high spirit there. But as he attended and worked with the mother, he was probably able to receive the help and progress. This is what we're trying to do, even that we are imperfect, even though we're still in this scale on step one, we want to be the ones that are putting time, making the effort, doing this repetition, this exercise for us to one day grow and be able to make this instant connection with the good spirits. But for now, it's still hard. It's still something that we need to read, educate us. And then after we educate, after we read all, we need to put in practice everything that we learn. And then we have to feel. And then when we start to feeling, the connection is made. And then we are able to be happier and feel that the surround around us is better. No longer just the vibration, the lower vibration of earth. We can create bubbles of light, create places, sacred places. And now our home is so sacred because all the meetings that we do through our home. And the mentors know they can count on us that we will be there every time in the right time and make the connection, meeting the reverence. So we are already working on that regards in making our home a better place, a better influence place to connect with good spirits. And here is important. The mentors wants us to show this part of the meeting because sometimes when we are in the center, when we are in our home, the place is so secure, even though the good spirit has been working 24/7 because they never stop. And here they are going to the center, going to the spiritual meeting that was prepared by the spiritual realm before the physical people came and work on it and help with the physical part for the incarnated. We see that people are there, but one is thinking about soccer, the other one is falling asleep, the other one is thinking about something else. So to show us that we have to start thinking how is our behavior when we go to a center, when we come and connect here. Are we connecting here and really connect, or we are just connect but our mind is going somewhere else? Are we thinking about the problems that we have throughout the day? Are we thinking about what we're going to do tomorrow? Are we thinking about everything but paying attention what the mentors are bringing to us to help us to progress? So this is something for us to start our educational process, that when we really want to make the connection with the divine, with the good spirits, we need to start from the beginning. When we are going to a place to learn, to get information, we already need to have our mindset and think, I'm going there to learn and I'm going to pay attention. That way, the good spirits can work on us while we are watching a talk, while we are receiving, right? Receiving blessings from our home or wherever we may be. So, the step one is when we are in the audience, when we are part of the community, we need to help with our thoughts and our attitudes. We need to be helping exercise. And then one day we are so good and we are working and making this true connection and receiving blessings everywhere, because when we are aligned, we receive fast and we give fast. So the love goes through and out. So we feel the emanation of the love of Master Jesus, of our creating coming through us, and we helping more and more. So let us meditate. How are we being part in the meetings? Are we helping, or are we thinking about something else and not helping first ourselves, and of consequently not helping the other? So let us refine how we are going to come to our meetings and how we're going to secure the environment where we are at home or when we are back in the center. Let us think about this. And also, this is another book that is about the behind the scenes of the public meeting. So we can see the light coming from the center. So if we visualize the Spirit Society of Virginia, visualize our house as we make this connection with the divine, protecting the place where we are, lights come out. That's why when we make the passes, we always visualize this light, because when we are going through this flow of love, lights comes out of us, come out of places. So the goal is for us to have this light coming out of our house as well. And you can see there is a preparation. The doctors and nurses of the beyond is always helping and preparing. So they are here serving, connecting with the team of physical people that will help. And down below here, we can see that even outside there are security posts where they secure the whole neighborhood, they secure the whole building. There is always security. There's always a way in which we are being protected. So, friends, for us to think about the mediumship with Jesus, we need to read more the gospel, align with the teachings of the master, because he came and he brought to us all the teachings that we need. And once we are able to connect with the good mentors, connect with the higher realm, we are able to make everything better, even our home, the environment where we are, where we go to work, everything transform. But we need to be very disciplinary and look at Jesus, at Chico Xavier, Madre Teresa, all those good examples that came closer to us. And remember that we are on step one, We are always going to make mistakes because we are learning, but we are always surrounded of good spirit. The only thing we need to do is to read elevated books, books from Spiritism, and make the prayer. As we know, this is how we make the connection with the higher spirits. And through our daily life, we need to be always asking, how would Jesus do? And let this flow of love go through our life and be with us 24/7, so we can be the instrument, we can be this medium, and we can be Jesus medium in the planet Earth. So with that, we will go and start the passes and then the prayer.
So, dear friends, as our beloved Daisy and Luciana brought to us, we are all being invited to raise the frequency of our thoughts and feelings and become mediums of hope, mediums of divine light, mediums of fraternity and consolation to everyone. So let us put the teachings that we have learned to practice right now by closing our eyes and joining thoughts and feelings, visualizing our beloved Master, the governor of this planet, the divine shepherd of the planet Earth, coming before us. We visualize his magnanimous eyes, sending vibrations of hope that reach the core of our being. We now visualize Master Jesus opening his arms fraternally to embrace us. As he embraces us, we merge ourselves into his radius heart, and we visualize all of our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional structures radiating the same light. We then hear our beloved Master saying to us in his soft and gentle voice, "You are light, you are love, and you are joy of living. I shall never forsaken you." And as we reaffirm our alliance with the Master, he now gives to us a luminous white rose. As he grants us this luminous white rose, he asks that we bring it close to our hearts. As we bring the rose close to our hearts, we allow sentiments that no longer serve us to become light, to be transformed in hope, to be transformed in healing. And as we continue feeling Master Jesus' embrace, he grants us yet another beautiful luminous rose, and he invites us to give it to someone with whom we wish to learn to love all the more. As we widen the circle of love, we grant this luminous rose to someone dear to our hearts. And as we vibrate love with Master Jesus united through love, we visualize our homes becoming a beacon of divine light,
We visualize that through the windows and doors, currents and bridges of light are formed, reaching out to the neighborhoods, through our cities, through our states, through our country, and finally through the whole planet. As the planet renews itself in Master Jesus and for Master Jesus in the name of God, we also feel as though all the spirits connected to us receive an embrace of gratitude, love, and hope as well. And as we see ourselves once again before Master Jesus, we thank Him for the gift of His presence in our hearts, and we recommit ourselves to following Him and to serving God, becoming mediums of hope and divine light wherever we may be. Thanking God and Master Jesus, as well as the loving spirits, for the treatment we have just received. We invite our dear Camila to conduct our final prayer moment of tonight. And so be it.
Dear friends, may we close our eyes and feel the higher vibration of the spirit mentors. Let us rejoice in harmony with the spiritual realm. Let us open our hearts to the enveloping light of the divine. Let us be present in this moment, together, connecting with the higher realm, the loving vibration of the good spirits and our Master, Jesus Christ. Dear Heavenly Father, please allow us to be consumed by your spiritual fire that burns and emanates so bright. Allow the fruits of righteousness to intercept our lives as you protect us from malevolent vibrations. We give ourselves away and surrender our all to you, as we withhold nothing for our desire to grow spiritually and to have a greater relationship with you. May we feel empowered to fulfill God's will, regardless of where we are, knowing that the universe counts on us. Let our thirst for God ignite, to hunger for enlightenment, and to let the nourishment of God's love come to us in great abundance. May we experience the realization of our true relationship to every human being in the universal family. Regardless of any biological ties, may we realize that the spiritual bonds are stronger and more important. In spirit, we are each other's mother, father, brother, and sister. May we understand that the acceptance will propel us into a greater spiritual unfoldment. Even during difficult or painful experiences, may we endeavor to learn the necessary teachings for our spiritual progress, and then let it go, knowing that greater good is in store when we surrender. May we remember that these lessons come to pass, not to stay. When we follow the example of Christ, we know that we can always safely place ourselves, our lives, our bodies, our futures in God's hands. God is the answer to all, the meaning behind all, and God is absolute good. It is with love in our hearts that we humbly ask for your permission to close tonight's meetings. And so be it.
Friends, feeling Jesus with us as we just learned that he is the best role model for us. He is the medium, and so are we. We are constantly connecting, constantly emitting. We are choosing right now who are we going to connect tonight. As we leave this session, let us keep the vibration high. Let us think of Jesus, maintaining it so close to us that when we go to sleep, we're going to feel lighter and wake up full of energy. Friends, it was a pleasure being with you. All of us from the SSVA enjoyed it very much. And we will leave you with a big virtual hug. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Many blessings. Bye bye.